So if you are a light person, maybe you're a vape person, the name Nitecore probably means something to you. Nitecore's been around for a while. Some of us use their chargers, some of us use their lights, some of us use their batteries. Rechargeable battery tech and Nitecore, pretty synonymous. So when Nitecore reached out to me and said, do you want to review a weapons light that we are launching? I said, sure, absolutely. Not only did they send me that, they also sent me a handheld as well, which we'll be talking about in this video. This is the Nitecore EDC25. Now, since they sent this to me, they have come out with the EDC27, which is a little bit more upgraded. This one is still for sale. They do still have these out. I think it's a cool handheld, double emitter, all that good stuff. But primarily what we're going to be talking about is their weapons light, specifically a pistol light. This is the NPL25. This is really kind of an interesting concept. It blew my mind. So it has a stated output of 900 lumens, 255 meter beam distance, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty straightforward in terms of operation. It's IPX6, waterproof, 16,000 candela claimed output, impact resistant up to 1 meter. So it does say possible dangerous radiation. Don't look into the light. Might be dangerous for your eyes. So it is a rechargeable weapons light, but it's not a rechargeable weapons light like you have ever seen. So I have it here on my CZP-07. We're gonna go ahead and make sure that it is empty. This is a great gun, by the way. The folks at King of Camo hooked it up. I still haven't fixed the iron sight situation because, well, red dots are a lot more reliable than people think they are, and I've had no issues. So enough about that. We're gonna talk about the light itself. So the gun is clear. Yeah, so here it is on the gun. Very cool. You can see there NPL, all that good stuff. You got Nitecore on this side. Cool stuff. It is bright. Of course, you're gonna have night footage in the video. Y'all calm down. You got buttons on either side. Very straightforward operation. You can use it with your offhand. You can use it with your trigger finger. Whatever you want to do, left-handed, right-handed. Very cool. Where this gets interesting, we're gonna put it on the table and we're gonna talk about it, because this, I guarantee you haven't seen anything like this with a rechargeable weapons light. All right, time for some night footage. We got the Niteforce NPL25. This is a really cool pistol light, especially for the size. And you can see just how nice that is. Nice hot spot, decent amount of flood. Ignore the bear spout there in the yard. It's hard with the dogs and the kids. But it does absolutely throw a beam out there. Now, to compare that to something more mainstream, we're going to go ahead and we're going to leave that there. I'm actually going to grab a TLR7 sub with a fresh battery, and we'll turn that on. So, wider hotspot on the TLR7 sub, but yeah. So you be the judge. I got the TLR7 sub on the right, and now the hotspot from the NPL25. Pretty impressive. I told you guys, this is not something to take lightly in terms of output. This is pretty impressive. So let me know your thoughts below. I think it's a pretty cool light. So let's begin. So here's your light. It's on the pistol. We're going to go ahead and take it off, talk about the rest of this. You can use this flathead or a quarter. Nice ratcheting sound on the button, which is cool. This little button next to it serves a purpose. You can ratchet your light to fit where you need it to. So where that's cool is you can get the light exactly where you want it on a given firearm, especially for button activation. You know, I like to move it just a little bit further out. Where that is possibly a not so great thing, I'll show you in a second. You know, maybe somebody, you get a holster and the person wants the light here, and then the next person wants the light here. Well, there's no standard way to mold for that holster, so it's almost a one-off situation. There is that. So finish loosening that. That's the one thing I can ding it on so far as somebody that used to make holsters. Yeah, so there we go. And the way that works is you got a little release, and then there's your block, and you can slide it wherever you need it to. Cool idea, and not a deal breaker per se, but definitely getting a holster is going to be a little bit more challenging. So it does come with a couple different blocks to work with different guns. This is the one that came on it. It's worked fine on what I've put it on. So I will say we've seen this sort of system before with like a Olight, PL2 Mini, things like that. This is a little bit more robust than my experience with Olight. Speaking of rechargeable weapons lights, frequently bring up Olight. This system's a little bit different in a lot of cool ways. So one of the downsides of a rechargeable weapons light is once that cell's depleted, the light is too. You know, they can only take so many charge cycles before they're done. This one has a neat solution to that problem, and it could also be a workaround for the whole crap, my light's dead, I can't just throw more batteries in it. So what we're going to do is we're going to push this button in here on the back, actually slide it out, and then there's your battery. There's your light body, there's your battery. You can check your battery level by pushing that button and see exactly where you're at. So if you do have to charge it, you could plug it in, but I keep a power block with me when I'm filming. It's Type-C. You're going to need something that Type-C plugs into, so not standard USB-A. And then you've got your charger here. Put it on there, and you can watch your battery charge. So why is this a big deal? The reason I say this is a big deal is typically when you have a rechargeable weapons light, you run into either of those two situations I named. One, the light's dead and you need it, now you gotta wait on it to charge. Or two, eventually the cell is done, and so too, there goes the light. They ship with one of these, but there's at least the potential that you can order more of these. You could have one on standby. You know, if you wanted to treat this as a duty light, which in terms of robustness, we'll go ahead and talk about that. I haven't had any issues yet. That being said, I'm not Sage Dynamics. I haven't trashed my stuff. It gets treated fairly normally, and it's done well. I've noticed no flickering under recoil. I was initially worried that the light, you know, recoil would allow this to actuate and the battery would come out or something like that. That was actually my worst fear. I haven't had that happen. Haven't had it disengage at all. So, you know, I kind of had just a backstory. If you hadn't been following me that long, I used to really like Olight until I actually started filming myself shooting with them and noticed flickering under recoil, parasitic drain with the batteries. And I did for a while have affiliate links and things like that. People had obviously ordered them based on my recommendation, and I felt like crap when I had to make another video eating some crow and walking that back and apologizing that I had recommended a product that I now didn't believe in and people had spent their hard-earned money on. So I was pretty skeptical at first, but it's holding up well. I don't feel like I'm going to have to make a video in the future being like, hey guys, I know I said this light was good to go, but I don't think it is. Is it duty grade? Well, I have conflicting feelings on that. Number one, it is, even with the stated output, which I don't have the means to measure that, it's still below something like a TLR1HL or a X300U from Surefire. It's still not quite up to that, and those are the kind of two that I would say if you need a duty grade light, that's what you go with. That being said, it is extremely powerful for its size, and as you'll see from the nighttime footage, the beam, the throw, I actually really do like the output level on this light and have been frequently putting it on the P07, which is something that I carry. I don't always carry it with a light, but when I want to carry with a light with that pistol, I've been using this light and I like it. So is it suitable for duty use? I don't know. I've kind of on the fence on that. If my job were to carry a firearm in some sort of law enforcement or military application, I would likely go for a Streamlight or Surefire. But it's not, because I am a civilian now, and the chances of me needing to draw my gun to begin with are low. I'm not clearing houses, I'm not doing things like that. The battery life on this so far has been pretty impressive. And we do know that over time with rechargeable batteries, the battery life does diminish, which is part of why I was very excited to see this kind of swappable cell technology, or replaceable cell, whatever you want to call it. I really like that they did this. It also, another added caveat of that is if you have stuff in a range bag and you don't have it in a holster, which I tend to, but if you didn't and you were worried about accidental activation of the light, bam, problem solved. So there is that as well. Nitecore knows what they're doing with battery tech. I've come to trust them. I was pretty big into the vaping thing for a while, including essentially running a vape shop. I did the whole build your coil thing, all that whole subculture that was there for a while. It's kind of cringe to admit now at 34, but in my early to mid 20s, that was really cool. And I did use a lot of Nitecore products and still have them at the house. Their battery chargers are great for 18650s and things like that. So I trust them a lot when it comes to rechargeable tech. So I think that's really cool. It's always cool to see innovation. And again, if you're like me and you're not 100% sold on this for duty use, that's cool. I think it's still awesome. At a minimum, compared to other lights its size, it is doing phenomenal in terms of output. And hopefully you guys saw that from the nighttime footage. It does a great job at reaching out. Again, for its size class, it's very impressive. So even at a minimum, if you have like a PMR 30 or a SIG P322, that is your varmint gun, throwing this on there, it's going to let you handle things like raccoons and possums or foxes getting into the chicken coop or whatnot. I think it's fantastic. I, at this point, have no issue saying, hey, if you want one of these, go ahead, use it for concealed carry. If you're going to carry a light on your gun, I think this might work. So let's get into price and things like that. Now, as far as price goes on the NPL25, you can get it from Nitecore directly. You can get it from a few other light stores online, if you will, including Amazon. And they're all running about that $85 to $95 mark, most of them being $89.95, so 90 bucks. Is it cheap? No. And I don't think it should be with the battery tech that's gone into this. So I'm not sure how much we saw here on the battery pack. It tells you it's 3.7 volts, it's 500 milliamp hours, 1.5 watt hours. Again, Nitecore knows their crap when it comes to batteries, and the battery tech that it takes to make something like this is pretty cool. So, of course, there's going to be people that say, yeah, that's the same price, around the same price as something like a Streamlight TLR 7A or whatnot. And you're right. Those are 500 lumen lights. This is a stated output of 900 lumens, and you'll see with the nighttime footage, I compare the two outputs. You be the judge. I'm not telling you should get it over something like that. I'm not telling you shouldn't, but I do think it's a viable option for those of us in the carry market, with the caveat being holsters. That's going to be the biggest hang up with something like this. It does not work in my TLR 7A holsters. So I've had to use a little bit of creative whatever and modify a couple holsters, Kydex holsters with a heat gun to make it work. If that's something you're comfortable doing, great. If not, it might be something where you need to drop the light off to a holster manufacturer and make sure, again, this is something I used to have to do with lights if I was doing one-off holsters, make sure you remove the batteries. So with a lot of rechargeable lights, that's not going to happen. And you're going to have to let them know they're going to need to come up with some sort of thing to fill that gap to the dimensions. So this isn't something any fly-by-night holster company is going to need to do. This is going to be somebody that is going to take the time to make sure that the dimensions of the finished product are good, but don't subject the battery to heat. So again, it should go without saying, but I have seen some things that will make you lose your mind. So one more thing about the battery itself. At this time, I have not been able to find any replacement units. I have a feeling, given Nitecore's history with batteries, this will be something you could purchase on its own. It does say that from empty, it takes about an hour and 10 minutes. Of course, that is going to depend on supplied voltage from your power supply. I think that's a best case scenario. I use Anchor battery banks or a 2-amp block most of the time for charging stuff. That's been my experience, right about that hour and 10 mark. And the cool thing is you can see exactly, instead of just a red or a green LED like Olight's fond of doing, red is charging, green is full. This you can actually see incrementally in 4 dots where your battery life is at. And I think it's cool that even with it on the pistol, you can pop that battery out, hit the button, and say, okay, we're good, or okay, we're not. So yes, at this point, you cannot get another battery for it that I have been able to find by itself. I am going to reach out to Nitecore and see if that's something they're going to offer in the future. I really hope it is, because that is part of my recommendation for this, is that you would be able to replace the cell or have a spare on standby. So let me know your thoughts. I'd be interested to know how you feel about it. I think it's cool. I think it's an awesome foray into the weapons light market. Innovation and competition only results in good things for us, the consumers. So every time something like this comes out, I get excited because that's one more step towards some cool stuff. So there we are. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. As always, thank you guys for watching. To my patrons and channel members, I appreciate everything you do. If you're interested in supporting the channel, there are links in the description below. It's not something you have to do, but if you want to, it's there. Guys, stay safe. I'll see you around.